Wilderness medicine is the study of unique medical situations in wilderness environments. Heat, cold, lightning strikes, snake bites, etc. It's the kind of medicine that you often have to practice for global humanitarian relief or disaster response. York Miller and I, who was one of my medical school classmates, went backpacking in Colorado in 1981.
There's a narrow gauge railroad that runs from Silverton to Durango in southwest Colorado. And you can get them to stop halfway through and then take a hike up into an area where there's some 14ers.
We noticed that every time we got up above about 11,000 feet, York in particular started to pass a fair amount of gas.
It wasn't really till we were driving back to Denver that we started to talk about the amount of flatulence that had been created on that trip.
We were young, just finished medical school. Our idols, faculty members, had all published textbooks, published articles, and we knew that at that stage in our career it was publish or perish. I talked to York and I said, York, we really ought to write this up. And he said, there's a name for it. I said, what is it? And he said, this is called Rocky Mountain barking spiders. I said, well, York, that doesn't sound very academic. We need to give it an acronym that'll give it more gravitas. I knew there was high altitude pulmonary edema, HAPE, and we knew that there was high altitude cerebral edema, HACE. And I said, how about HAFE, high altitude flatus expulsion?
What we suggested in our report was that it was basically Boyle's law, PV equals nRT. And so as you go up, pressure decreases, V, or volume, increases.
At the time, there were articles being published in the New England Journal of Medicine on flatus. So we wrote an article, we submitted it, and it was just rejected out of hand.
You know, out here on the West Coast, we refer to the New England Journal of Medicine as the Colonial Journal of Medicine.
We needed to find a way to publish it.
So we went to the Western Journal of Medicine, which, we thought would have a much greater appreciation for it.
They accepted it really quickly. We entitled it HAFE, and judging by the number of letters that they received in response, I think they made a very good decision. In fact, they finally had to request publicly that no more letters in response be submitted.
We did think it was a real phenomenon, though. We did notice that there was quite a difference in the amount of farting that we were doing up there at altitude. Now, that's been contested since. My wife, for instance, she holds that there's no way I could tell any difference from one place to another, that there's just so much gas.
The symptoms of HAFE are the same as you would have at low altitude when you're getting ready to let one go. So you start with some abdominal discomfort, maybe a little bit of bloating. You may actually have a little bit of premonitory belching. So when you feel those symptoms coming, the best thing to do is get somewhere where if you don't want to be discovered, you can release it. If you had a pan full of beans and a bowl of oatmeal and a couple granola bars and a big bite of jerky, you could be looking at the stars for quite a while.
Now, is HAFE something to be ashamed of?
Oh, that's interesting. That's a good, I think probably depends on who you're with. You know, in some groups, loud farting is really a sign of a good sense of humor, camaraderie. But in other groups, I think this would be frowned on.
Being able to publish HAFE was a real shot in the arm for both of us because we realized we could get anything published.
I've published over 150 scientific manuscripts. I must say the HAFE report is the most widely known.
I'll be eternally grateful to the Western Journal of Medicine for having the foresight, the fortitude to publish HAFE. Shame on the New England Journal of Medicine. They had an enormous, wonderful opportunity, and they just let it go.